I want to speak about the world. The world, with its lust, is passing away. The world, we're talking about the world. This is what the prodigal son had to discover in the. He didn't know how low he could get. He didn't know how uh, this trafe world, this unclean world, how he was aghast at his own depravity when he looked at this world that he had gotten himself into. He left his father's house. He went out from us. He went into the darkness, into the place of debauchery, the place of godlessness, the place of pollution, the place of emptiness. We're talking about the place of despair, of shame and ruin, where you see the devil's dominion. He is the prince of this world that we're talking about here. He that is in the world, that's who we're talking about. Chapter 4, verse 4 of the first epistle of Johannan. He that is in the world. We're talking about this alien world, this strange world. We have to be strangers in this world. We have to be called out. We're separated. You can't serve the world and the Lord, and sooner or later your enemies will be members of your own family. Those worldly people who have heard and heard and heard, and they're hearers, but they never come to a knowledge of the truth, and they will cause trouble. And don't be surprised at the fiery ordeal that's come upon you. 1 Kepha chapter 4. Because it's coming from this world. The world has to be unmasked to really see what it is. And you, with your reprobate mind, you cannot understand the world. And the devil is a very fast cook. He's running from the kitchen constantly. He's laying out a buffet of delights. And when you go from one to the next, you can hardly see the evil of the world. Because the world is a rebellious place. When you get to the first chapter of Romans, you see that these people who have turned away from the Creator, the Beshefer, and they refuse to worship Him, but they're going to make their worship fall on the creation. And this is where the core, this rebellion against, look, you made me a man or you made me a woman, but I don't like that gender. I'm going to be a transgender. I'm going to transgress what you want, God, and I'm going to shake my fist in your face and rebel against you. This is the world as it really is, where a believer is in danger. Where Yeshua, when he came into this world, he was for sure going to go to the tree, and even if they wanted to see him as a king, they would very quickly turn away. And we have to bring every thought captive to obey the Lord, because our thoughts are worldly. We're talking about the idolatry and world-worshiping rebellion of homosexuality here. But we're also talking about you. And we're talking about the way the devil is transforming America, transforming the modern world. And it's not going to be long, friend, before you're going to really see the world unmasked. Because this world, with its lusts, is passing away. And this world will bring you tribulation. In the world you will have tribulation. And you need to be renewed in your mind every day. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And you cannot be of the world. And that means that when the compromises start happening, the guilt will come in. And you have to realize that this world hates you. Do not think it's strange that the world hates you, beloved. Now, there are people who get into ministry and they become worldly and they don't realize it. Amen. Oh, I have an advanced degree. I have a master's, or I have a doctor's. I have a doctor's degree. And I am now kind of a cut above. And in my Pharisaic cut above religious caste, I don't dirty my hands with street preaching. I don't go into the homeless shelter. I'm a cut above all that. You see, and they don't understand what the true Kehillah of the Lord is. It is a place of persecution. Because the world is anti-God. It's an anti-God system. It's at odds with God. The world hates the believer. Yohanan chapter 17, verse 14. The world is a place of conflict for the believer. There's going to be conflict. When you see that picture of the believers being thrown to the lions in Rome, and the Roman, the population out there putting their thumb down and enjoying the lions eating the believers, and looking at this murderer named Nero, and that's a picture, friend, of the believers vis-a-vis the world. That's a picture of the world as it is becoming and as it has always been. Ever since, with moral autonomy, we decided that we would say what was good and what was evil. And if we wanted to call good evil or evil good, that would be our prerogative, because we've eaten from that tree. And we love the darkness rather than the light. And we may be depraved to the core, but we can give it a good spin. And we can realize that sooner or later, listen, friend, if the world hates you, know that it hated him first. Amen. When he came into this world, the world had a problem with him from the beginning, especially the religious people. And after you've been a believer for a while, the devil may come to reclaim you. That's why you have to do spiritual warfare. Amen. That's why you don't drop by the house of God. No, friend, you crawl on your belly to the Mizbeach, and you pray and you fast.